Get out of fight, flight, or freeze. That is this constant state of stress and tension that is keeping you in pain. And if you're like me, you don't even realize that you're in this constant state of fight, flight, or freeze. I'm Stephanie Carter Kelly, a physical therapist that uses yoga in everything that I do. So I lived most of my life in this constant state of tension. So it was very easy for me to get injured. It was very easy for me to fly off the handle. When you live in fight, flight, or freeze, you are so easily ready to punch or to fight back, to be defensive. You're so ready to crawl in a hole, go to your bed, put your covers under your head. That's the run. You want to run away from things. It's so tempting to just run away. And then the freezing is just, you don't know what the next step is. You don't know what you're supposed to do next. It's that freeze where you just freeze. The root cause of all of this is stress. The root, even beyond that stress, is fear. That deep inner fear that you're not good enough, that you won't do it right, that you won't get it right, that you won't be perfect in somebody else's eyes. What is that idea of perfect that we all try to live up to? So for years I lived in this state, and it wasn't until I started really practicing some ways to calm the nervous system down. These are all just natural reactions of the nervous system. When we feel like we're threatened, when we have that internal sense of fear, the nervous system goes into high alert, and it's just natural reactions. So I had normalized all these sensations. I thought it was just normal to feel all this. But when I started really addressing the nervous system, understanding how living in this constant state of stress and tension was deteriorating my health in more than just one way. Pain was probably the biggest factor that I was aware of, but there were many other things, many other ways that my health was suffering because I was living in this constant state. So it took three things. I'm going to talk about three things that we can really overcome this punch, run, and being paralyzed in fear. Number one is hug. And you might want to hug a pet, you might want to hug a pillow, you might want to hug a loved one, but what you really need to do is hug yourself. You need to find that deep internal compassion for yourself. We've all made mistakes. We all have things in our life that we're not proud of, that maybe we hold shame for. But when you can give yourself that internal compassion, that internal hug, then you can overcome your past and move forward in a new, relaxed way. The other thing we need to do is move gently. So many of us live in this constant state, and we choose running or high intensity physical activity as the way to deal with it. And what that really does is it ramps up our nervous system even further and just keeps us in this cycle of stress. So all day long at work or in our home life, we feel stress, and then we do a high intensity activity that perpetuates the stress. Now, I'm not saying that the high intensity activity is not good. It is good. We just need to come at it from a relaxed state first. And so to move gently, relieving some of the tension in the body, the moving gently also helps us recognize that tension in the body so that we can then move forward, strengthen the body, train the body aerobically in the right way. But if we go into those activities in this heightened state in our nervous system, that's when we begin to break down and feel pain in those activities that we may love, but we're not pausing and going into it from this lower level of stress and tension. The last thing is to get still. And for me, it was the hardest part. I did all of the other things well first, but it was getting still that helped me really recognize those patterns of thought in my mind that kept me in this state of shame and discontent. So the sitting still helps you to go deeper. You can work on recognizing the thoughts and turning them into positive. You can recognize the tension in the body, relieve it, and then move forward and exercise better. But you're still going to have that internal sense of discontent until you find out why. And sitting in the stillness, sitting in the muck and the dirt and the dinginess of our lives, and seeing what comes up, that why, that deep why. What is that deep sense of trauma that makes you keep thinking, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy, I'm trying to achieve some aspect of perfection because somebody said it in my past? What is that true reason why? And until you can sit in the stillness and really get to that, then all of this is going to keep coming up. It's going to keep bubbling to the surface. You're going to keep having these stress reactions until you can really get deep down inside and find compassion for that deepest sense of you. Let you come out of that. Let you rise out of that. And that's what we're trying to do. So what are some of the ways that we can hug? You know, so many times we push, we punch or run, but can we just hug? Wrapping your arms around yourself and maybe doing some movements, doing those gentle cat-cows that I love so much with that hug. Really wrapping one arm around the other in both directions, feeling what that feels like. Sitting and doing some rotation in that hug. You're hugging yourself, but it's more than that. We're giving our shoulders some range of motion. We're giving our spine some range of motion. And so that's the moving gently. See how that feels when you can move into that hugging sense. So again, I'm Stephanie Carter-Kelly, a physical therapist that uses yoga as a way to discover yourself, live from yourself so that you can have less pain. Namaste.